I'm gonna turn iconic cool math games realistic, starting with one of the most popular games, Run. The original Run game came out in August in 2008, and the most popular was actually Run 3, which was the most popular game on the entire website, beating Chess and Fireboy and Watergirl. But today, we're just gonna be editing the first version. So I'm gonna take this screenshot and make it realistic. The first thing I did was create the environment, so first I made the ground using a cement texture, and then I did the same for the sides and added some shadows. I also made the floor a little blue because it's blue in the original image. Next, I replicated the holes in the floor and added some more walls. After that, I added the holes in the walls and added a space background, and following that, I traced out the character and put a metal texture on it. Then I added some shadows and highlights, and finally I added the balls on his head and added the final shadows. So this is Run, but realistic. The next game I'm going to turn realistic is one of my favorites, and it's called Rotate and Roll. And this is the image that I'm going to turn realistic. I tried looking up some more information about this game, but this is what the Wikipedia page says. So all I can really say is that it came out in 2010, and it's about rotating a ball into a big bubble. So first I made some rectangles replicating the wood, and then made some little circles copying the character and the bubble. Next I made some clouds and a blue sky. I replaced the bigger circle with a bubble and colored it blue, and also warped the clouds behind it because it's a bubble, so it kind of warps. I'm not going to explain this. I added a sun in the top right like the original, and then put some wood textures on all the rectangles. After doing that, I took a spike ball from Super Mario and added a metal texture on all the spikes, and then a cement texture on the rest of it. Next, I added the spike balls and placed them where they were in the original, and then replaced the character with a kickball and changed the color to blue. He just kind of looks like a kickball to me. I don't know, I feel like if he had texture, that would be the texture. Finally, I added some lighting on the wood and characters, and also added some shadows. So this is my realistic version of Rotate and Roll. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to subscribe and maybe hit the like button, and let me know in the comments what I should design next. But for the final game, I'm going to turn Fireboy and Watergirl realistic. And like I said earlier, this was one of the top 3 games, and I think this is still one of the most popular games that Cool Math Games has. It was released in 2009 on Cool Math Games, and it was so good that they've made 6 of them since, with the last one coming out in 2021. So we have a lot of options to choose from, but I'm just going to do the first game. And while I was researching for this video, I found out that they're dating and will eventually get married, which is actually adorable. I love it. So the first thing I did was add a brick wall in the background and some cement bricks for the floor. Next, I cut out the door from this image I found and placed it on the background, and after duplicating that, I changed the color of the bricks and the doors and added a little inner shadow. After changing the colors of the ground, I added a bunch of moss and grass on it, and then added a button on the wall, which technically isn't in the original because it's on the floor, but I just felt like it would look better if it was on the wall. But I added a bevel and emboss and then made it glow a little bit, and then added some shadows on the wall. I also added the gender symbols on the door and made them look all pretty, and next I added a blue diamond on the right and a red diamond on the left, and then made them glow a little bit. Now let's work on the text. So I copied the same fonts from the original and added a gold texture with a bevel and emboss. I added some shadows and then added the Watergirl text in, which was a little different than the original, but you wouldn't have noticed if I didn't say anything. So I don't know why I said anything. But I added some ice and a snow texture on the text, and then made it a little more blue with a bevel and emboss to make it look more icy. For the Fireboy text, I got some lava textures and overlaid them on the text and added another bevel and emboss to make it look more sharp and fiery. I also went back and added more glow on the wall from the diamonds, and then started working on the characters, which took a lot longer than I expected it would. But I started with tracing over Watergirl's body and then coloring it in, and then duplicating it for when I work on Fireboy. Next, Next, I retraced the hair and made a little circle for her head. And I didn't really know how to add the top of her hair because it just looked really weird whenever I tried drawing it, so I just didn't do it. I added her face and some shadows below the hair so you can tell it's hair, and also a little shadow below her head. After that, I got some hair texture and added it onto her hair, and then added a bunch of water textures on top of her. When I finished with that, I made her face less circular because she's supposed to be water, so I thought that would add to that, which is also why I added some water dripping on the ground. Now let's make Fireboy. First, I retraced his head like the other designs, but made his head a little bit more wavy than the original. Next, I added his eyes and then a bunch of fire, but I blurred a little bit of the top of his head because fire isn't just like sharp like that. I also added a glow behind him and then made his eyes pop out a little more by adding a bevel and emboss and then changing the layer style. I put a little smile in there like the original and then added a little bit of glow coming from Watergirl. So this is my realistic version of Fireboy and Watergirl. Honestly, I'm not that satisfied with the characters at the very end, but you know, I'm just getting better and I tried my best. So if you enjoyed the video, subscribe. Peace out.